Welcome to the podcast, Kill Complacency. Here we inspire intentional living by motivating others to handle hard better. And here's your host, Marty Hofmann.
Hey, this is the second part of the podcast with my buddy Chris from Minnesota. Really inspiring conversation today as he just really helps people maneuver and do more in life than they think possible. I love how he's using psychology to help investors and hearing his story on how he's actually had a partnership with some guys and found out his strengths and weaknesses in regards to this. Lots of gold nuggets in here, and listen to the end to hear his favorite book. It was a big surprise to me. And Keziah, do you have anything to add?
I really liked how he talked about just doing stuff and not caring about failing. He quoted Mark Twain and said, "The guy who made no mistakes made nothing." And I just thought that was super good, just thinking about just going for it and not caring if you fail.
So, hope this podcast is helpful. Please like, share, all that good stuff. Others that can benefit from this. We do this for you. We do this to benefit you, and we do this to make the world a better place. So make it happen and live intentionally.
It's so funny how we have these like heuristics, they call it in psychology, but these like mental shortcuts, again, to make our jobs, our brains try to make our jobs as people easier. So losing stuff somewhere along the line of humanity must have been really, really bad. It must have been way worse than getting something. Where nowadays we don't have those threats other than, buying something or investing, things like that.
Sure. And why is that? Is it you have to work through that, I'm sure, with people that desire not to lose, right?
Oh, for sure. For sure. Because what we think is when we lose something is we lose more than money, And, I was just talking with one of my clients this morning, doesn't want his business to fail. Why? Oh, because then I will have sunk $40,000 into something that didn't work. Okay. You're financially free. So that's interesting because you're playing with house money anyway. So what is it like? What is it behind there? When you lose $40,000, what does it say? That I lost time where I could have been investing it somewhere else. Okay, great. But you're experimenting and there's no way of knowing. So what is it behind that? When we got a few layers down, what we found out is he wants to be admired for his business acumen. He wants people to know he hits, he doesn't miss. And it goes back even further. He was an A+ student.
Okay.
If he got a 98 out of 100 on a math test, first thing his parents say, let's take a look at those two and get them fixed. And so wonderful message. His parents didn't mean him any wrong. It served him well because he studied, he went to college, got a free ride to college. He's a CFO, and now he's off on his own with commercial real estate. It served him well. But in this moment, it's holding him back because if I quoted Mark Twain, the guy who made no mistakes made nothing. You have to make mistakes. And so what we're working on is flexing his muscle to make mistakes. So when you work with me, you get homework every time. And so his homework is to make 5 mistakes between now and the next time we talk. And he's got to jot them down.
I've heard about parents asking even their kids, to give them a one fail from the day. And just to prep your kids for failure. Robert Kiyosaki has that book, Why A students work for C students. And it's that same premise of C students don't mind failing,
It's funny you bring that up because at dinner time, we do the same thing. We do 3 things. It's one thing that you were proud of, one thing that you tried and you failed at, and then what was one thing that was funny.
Oh, that's good.
That's what we do at dinner time when we're not reading Harry Potter.
One thing you're proud of, one thing you failed at, and one thing, what was the last one?
Something that was funny.
Something that was funny. I'm going to start doing that. I've got 6 kids, so
There you go. There you go. Well, then you're going to hear like lots of like farts and stuff like that. You know, this one kid farted and said it wasn't me. It's like, okay, sounds good. You know,
Moving on. That's awesome.
yeah. But try it
So,
out. I think it's fun because kids haven't yet learned that like tension of failing. Kids are still cool with it, you know?
mhm,
And so that's what's really exciting is it's more of an activity for the grown-ups at the table than the kids for sure.
yeah. It reminds me too of that book, The Gap and the Gain. Have you read that one,
Oh
Benjamin
yeah,
Hardy?
definitely.
You know, that one really talks about that. How you view your failures. Are they failures or are they stepping stones toward the right direction? And the psychology of that, and it's really how you view things, and measure them, because you can measure, like the guy you talked about, your client. He could say, I got 98% of them right, or he could say, I missed two.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of times that missed two is what prevents us from continued growth, because we're so focused on that negative aspect rather than I got 98% right.
Mm-hmm.
Better
Absolutely right.
50-50.
And this is why I challenged you before when you said about lies from the past.
Mm,
You know, if you say if you focus on the 2% that you got wrong, that's not a lie. You
sure.
got 2% wrong. It's just how are you choosing to spend your mental energy and your focus? Because where you focus is going to get reiterated to you, right?
Mm,
We go through these things called thought cycles where something happens, which leads to a thought, which leads to a feeling, which leads to a behavior, which creates another thought, which reinforces the original one, which is how we get all these recurring things. So if you get a 98% on a test, that's an event. Now, we've got two very different thought cycles here. If we choose to focus on the 98%, awesome. Let's get some DQ, right? Or
mhm.
if you go, let's focus on the 2% and make sure you get those right. And now you take that times 10 different thought cycles. Holy smokes, we're in a different world,
Yeah.
which is why this stuff seems like voodoo hippie crap, especially for real estate investors.
Yeah.
And then you start realizing it, and it really has a compounding effect.
Compounding effect, and positive or negative. That's why some guys are killing it and some guys are not moving very much, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, before we started taping, you said it's funny that your clients are raising more capital now than they were before because it's been harder to raise capital. And I said, if you think it is.
If you think it
If
is.
you think it is. Yeah. But no, if you're all in on yourself, and that's exactly what you're going to do, and you're doing this not because you want to raise capital, but because you want to prove to your kids that you can do hard stuff and
Yeah.
you can do business in a way that is full of integrity and helps other people get more time with their family, you're going to raise more capital.
Mm, yeah.
Or
Yeah.
you can say the market, or you can say it's not the right time.
Yeah.
I mean, either
Everyone-
are true.
Everyone's
Both are
getting
true.
crushed right now. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's so
Yeah.
good. So the perspective, the angle on it, that's good. Something I have started doing that has helped me in regards to just being more grateful is
Mhm.
actually journal. Try to journal every night, a full page of what I'm thankful for. But it's that same thing. It's perspective, because you can go to bed having negative thoughts about XYZ, or you can find the positive in it. But it's interesting what has happened. What I feel like has happened is, as a result of that little exercise, it makes me more grateful throughout the next day. It makes me identify those things. Kind of like the guy doing the affirmations without it written on the mirror. It's a habit. But it's me sitting down and putting time and thought into what was positive today. What am I grateful for? Versus going to bed grumpy because nothing worked right.
Yeah, no one wants to go to bed grumpy. So that's interesting. So you do it at night, and do you have any sort of cues or any sort of prompts or questions that you're trying to ask? You just go for it.
I have a journal right by my bed, and it is, when I crawl into bed, I sit on my left side, and my journal's laying in bed, and I write wins, and I write three wins from the day, and then I write tomorrow's wins, and that'll be 3 things I want to do tomorrow.
Mm.
And then I write I am thankful for, and I fill up the whole page, and I don't stop until it's full. Sometimes I write
Cool.
bigger.
That's awesome. That's great. That's
Well, when
great.
it's done, then I close it. But it's like my bedtime routine now. And it's
Mhm.
like I roll over, my head hits the pillow, and I'm asleep because it's part of what I do. But I really feel like it really sets me up for being a nicer guy the next day because it's in my head that I'm going to be filling out a journal that night.
Mhm.
So, kind of just circling back to because some of those things aren't necessarily good, but I find the good in them. Does that make sense?
Mm. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, you could even strike the word failure from your vocab if you
Yeah.
wanted to, and
Yeah.
just say like learning opportunities or
Mhm.
friendly mistakes or whatever you want to call them, because they're necessary. Well, that's interesting. I'm super interested in your gratitude thing. I think that's really cool. And so you're saying that writing at night makes you a nicer, better person the next day, even?
I think so because I'm more grateful.
Hmm. Mhm.
So I will say, "Hey, thanks for doing XYZ to somebody,"
Sure.
because I believe my mind is in an attitude it's looking for those opportunities because I know I'm going to journal about them tonight.
Sure.
If that makes sense.
Yeah,
And
that's awesome.
And because it's self-conscious, I feel like I say thank you to more people.
Mhm.
You know, I'll say, "Hey, thanks for XYZ." And that's why I say I feel like it makes me a nicer guy.
Mhm. Oh, fantastic. So
Yeah.
this is right in line with positive psychology, which came to prominence in like the 1990s. Like someone like
Okay.
Simon Sinek, you probably know
Okay, yeah.
Simon Sinek.
Yep.
He's a prominent positive psychologist. So it's a study of happiness, productivity, things like that, and gratitude is one of their core tenets there. And it's interesting because it seems like it's in the realm of like eating burritos and doing yoga and things like that. Like, okay, it works for surfer guys, but not me. But the science is like undeniable on this,
Mhm.
that if you practice gratitude, you will be happier and you will get more promotions, make more money, have more, whatever you want to call it. Where a
Well,
lot
you're a
of times
nicer
people
guy.
say, when I get the promotion, I'll be happier. When I get the new car, I'll be happier. But actually, science proves it's the other way. And
Mhm.
Robert Kiyosaki had it right. It's be, do, have. Become
Mhm.
somebody new, then you can do something different, then you'll have something different. So interesting. I
do
love
have.
that. I love that. I'm excited to like catch up with you in 6 months from now to see where that's at.
Yeah. I've been doing it for like a year and a half probably.
Whoa, cool. So
And
it's
I
ingrained.
really
It's good.
Yeah, it's like what I do at night. Like
Yeah. Have you found now, since you've been doing it so long, that the things you're grateful for are like kind of silly or ridiculous?
sometimes they're the same things.
Oh, there you
But
go.
I'm still thankful for them. Like I'm
Yeah.
thankful I made me lunch today. Like it's a good thing, you know?
Yeah. After a while, you like dig deep, right? Because I've been keeping one for like 10 years or something like that. And I just write 3 things. And so sometimes it's just ridiculous. Like I was really grateful for this one purple cloud that I saw during the sunset. I'm just like, oh man, I'm really digging deep. When you've mentioned everything, you're like start to recycle some or repurpose the content of my gratitude journal.
Yeah. Chris, how did you get into psychology? Is it you just went to it in college or?
Yeah, well, I started in high school, so just I was always I was a new kid. So in 9th grade, we moved from North Dakota to Wisconsin, right? So go Pack, because Brett Favre became the quarterback shortly after. That was awesome. But anyways, I as a new kid, you're kind of like hyper focused on the nuances of the school because you're trying to fit in.
Mhm.
And one thing I noticed was that like the same 3 or 4 dudes got called to the principal's office every day. I was like, what's with them? And they were also the dudes who I didn't want to be around because they were like bad dudes, right? They were the
Mhm.
guys smoking cigs, getting in trouble, whatever, all that kind of stuff. And so I was thinking, like, what can there be done to help these kids? I wanted, like, that was just my thought process of like, what can I do or what can I learn in my life to like help these kids? And so that's, I went to school for psychology and then child psychology. And then I got a master's in social work, basically to try to help these 4 kids that always got called to the office. And my journey has gone through several different things. I started with kids who were on probation. And then I moved to kids who were involved in domestic violence and domestic abuse situations, things like that. I worked with people who were experiencing homelessness out on the streets. I worked with people who were in a mental health crisis for 3 or 4 years. So I worked with crisis residents. And so I've seen quite a lot of a full gamut of experience of human psychology. And what I'd have to say is there's a lot of things that we know about how to help those 4 guys. And so I hope that I've left a positive stamp on the world and in the community in that aspect. And I think I'm on to the next phase just because there's different phases of life where I just really enjoy talking about families. I enjoy talking about ways that we can grow our psychology. And I think I'm less interested now in helping out like the most hardened criminals, which is what most people go to psychology to do. And I was one of them. I'm less interested in that. And I'm more interested in applying these to help more people. And so if I have a caseload of 20, I can affect 20 people. But if in my performance psychology, I work with 20 syndicators and they each have 50 investor families, that's a huge reach, and I strongly believe, because my family has experienced it, when you've got some passive income coming in and you're worried less about money, that really has a butterfly effect throughout other different things that you're doing. Like my wife just went through the budget this weekend. And so like, we're going to be eating out at restaurants less. And one of the things we thought was like, awesome, we haven't had picnics in a long time. And so it's like, like there's more family time when there's income coming in, and that's really cool. And that's what I'm passionate about now, is just having a bigger reach, using psychology to have a bigger reach.
That's so cool. What do you think has been the most influential book that you've read?
Like, you want my honest answer here? Or like the go-to answer? Okay, honest answer, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. That book was awesome. By Roald Dahl. I remember reading that book, or actually our 4th grade, I think our teacher read that to me. And first of all, it's British. Roald Dahl's British, where I'm American. And like, it was just the fantasy in that. It was fantastical. And I was like, whoa. That was the first time that really got me interested in like things that are other than black and white. Because I was a really like, and by black and white, I mean like rigid thinking. Like I was really good at math. Like I was doing, like probably 10th, 11th grade math in 4th grade. I could do things in my head. But I was awful at art. And I'm still awful at art. But like, that was one of the first books that got me interested in art and how you can use science and art together. Because like when I'm working with clients, it may seem like I'm just sitting there we're just like pulling things out, but like there's a framework I'm working from and different theories I'm pulling from all the time. And that was like the first time that I've seen science and art collide in a way that really spoke to me, But I would say in the last 5 years, the book that's had the most impact on me has probably been The Go-Giver by Bob Berg. The Go-Giver is just so great. I love that it's a story form. I love that the guy is super timid to get involved right away, and he's in it for all the wrong reasons. I still think about it sometimes when I'm drinking coffee about how she's going to share her coffee with the world. And the Go-Giver is just so cool. In fact, like you can't see, but to the left here, I've got 3 things on the wall. I've got one is the five laws of stratospheric success, which is straight from the Go-Giver. I just like printed the thing from the book. Yeah. And then I've got a picture that my daughter drew for me. And then I've got the man in the arena quote by Teddy Roosevelt. So those are like the three things that keep me going throughout the day.
That's cool. Yeah, Bob Burke, right?
Bob Burke, yeah.
Burke. Yeah, I love that book. All about relationships over transactions and not being tit for tat.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And I think that book's going to get more and more relevant. You know, in the social media age, it's really funny because we're in like the post information age where there's no such thing as truth anymore. And so when that happens, I could go online right now and say I'm anything, right?
Yeah.
But I'll only fool the people that know, like, and trust me, you know? And maybe that's a bad example because we're trying to be good apples. But what I'm saying is, the go-giver will become more and more relevant because it really is about transparency. The future is going to be, open the kimono here. You know, let's peek behind Oz's door, to see what's going on. And I think things are just becoming more and more transparent. You know, more companies have to take a stance on where they are on political issues or climate change or whatever it is. You know, people don't want just Tide anymore. They want to know what Tide stands for. And so I think books like The Go-Giver are going to be even more relevant in the future.
Well, and I like that book too because it can be so easy to be so transaction focused, but we need to, and I guess I mentioned that in regards to social media and stuff. It's easy to think that it's easy to hide behind social media as being something, but it's really not where we are. And I think that our culture is going to get to a point where we're starving for those real relationships. And that's where that book really comes into play. It's about the relationships. And yeah, I feel like we're on this roller coaster a little bit on figuring out social media and how it plays into our life, but there will get to a point where there's such a gap in our lives that we will just want that, real estate deal. You'll take less of amount because you know the person rather than it's the best money. So.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, if you're an LP investor right now, like what do you do to vet a deal? You vet the team.
Yeah.
You go with the team. Which is why even though interest rates are up, the price discovery is off, things like that, the people who have built a lot of trust over the past couple decades, they have a waiting list.
Yeah.
Because they just want to do business with people that they trust and they know have their best interests in mind. And so I think integrity is going to be really huge in the future. I think authenticity, vulnerability, sharing struggles is going to become more prevalent in the future. And you can already see it with the next generation. We make fun of like people older than us because like, the dad comes home, no eye contact, kid, I'll be in the den drinking bourbon, whatever, things like that. And in our household, it's much different. We don't have those like rigid roles, like marriage roles, things like that. Yeah. And nowadays, I think we're getting old. The way we look at life is becoming old fashioned, and I think for good reason. There's a ton of psychological research about how there's little that's the same from generation to generation, except every generation thinks that the generation younger than them is ruining the world. Yeah. Like that's been proven forever. It was a study that was started in the 1890s.
Okay.
When colleges were first getting out in California, they wanted to study like the difference between people that moved to California versus people that didn't. And one of the main like differences was like, do you believe that Californians or people that believe in manifest destiny are ruining the world or not? It's like we always have this change is to be feared.
Yeah.
But it just changes how things are. It just shifts mindsets and things like that.
Chris, is that because we hate change? The generational thing, is that because we hate change?
We don't hate change. No. I think hate would be a judgment. We fear change. We resist change because again, Our subconscious is like, bro, we don't change. We're the same person over and over. 30,000 thoughts today, 30,000 thoughts tomorrow, 30,000, like keep things nice and orderly. Please don't get out of line, and then when something does get out of line, like you set big, massive goals, your subconscious is like, must sabotage. What do we got? Imposter syndrome? Send it, like send it, because that's all we got.
That's so good. Well, as we wrap this up, Chris, I'm wondering if you had one message to share to the world that you want the world to know about you, or that you want the world to know. What would that one message be?
It wouldn't be about me. I'm just one dude. I think it would be about whoever is listening. Then I think in this world, like it's getting lonelier. There's more, remote work. There's more of the solopreneur stuff. Even GP teams are one guy lives in Washington, one guy lives in Pennsylvania. It's just, and that happens, and that's great. Yeah. But what we're losing is a human connection. And so if anyone is out there and cares to know my opinion about the world, I would just say that you are valid and you are worthy of love and attention, and you are powerful beyond what you think you are. You are absolutely unstoppable, except for what you think you're unstoppable about. So go out there and make mistakes, fall on your face, and keep going, because you never know what's going to happen. But we do know what's going to happen if you don't go out there and try.
That's so good. Talk about killing complacency and living intentionally. That's good stuff.
Yeah, man. The only way that you are going to cure imposter syndrome is by going to Costco for free samples. But that's not the life you want. That's not the life you want. Those free samples are good. But the only way you notice that the people who don't have imposter syndrome are the people that don't do anything. It's like, it's growth. Imposter syndrome is growth. You kill complacency by doing stuff. But here's how you start. Here's how you start. If you want to hunt complacency before you kill it, tell your brain that you're going to do it. Tell your brain, I am powerful. I'm valid. I'm smart. I'm knowledgeable. I'm a capital raiser. I get things done. I'm calm. I'm a great dad. Whatever it is that you need to say, prime yourself first.
That's so good.
And then and then just do it. It'll be much easier.
Chris, how do people find you? How do they follow you?
Oh, I'm pretty prominent on LinkedIn. So Chris Schwagerl, SCHWAGERL. Or you could go to infiniteskies.life and you can find me there and learn more about performance psychology. I'm happy to connect with anyone. Just reach on out. I've got a bunch of free resources and newsletter content, all that kind of stuff. Coming out with workshops. I got one-on-one work, all that kind of whatever fits. We're just here to work and here to help.
Sounds good. Well, thank you so much, Chris.
Hey, thank you, Marty. This has been a pleasure, man. Really appreciate you having me on.
Hey, just wanted to thank you guys for listening to the end. In closing, I just wanted to add that if this message resonates with you, if it aligns with your values, and something in it today triggered something, then you can also look me up on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, YouTube. We are really trying to help people live more intentional lives to kill the complacency with which they have subscribed to. I know there's many ways which I get sucked in all the time. So if this is beneficial, follow me there, spread the message, share. And if you want to wear a billboard of a message of kill complacency or live intentionally, then check out my merch store in show notes as well. But it's www.mindsetshop.com. Mindset is with an X, so it's MINDXET shop, SHOP.com, mindsetshop.com. Check it out. Thank you guys so much, and have a great one.
Thank you for listening to Kill Complacency. Follow and share our podcast to change lives and inspire growth.